Godshots, Comics, the Young Philadelphian, and the talent Agent. Hey guys, my name is Michael the Aligned Creator, and here is another story of my journey full of synchronicities. During my time working at a large retailer, I often found myself discussing ideas for movies. One of them involved Bill Murray, though it remains unwritten for now. That one stays tucked away until the screenplay is ready. A few weeks later, out of nowhere, a man in the store started talking about how Bill Murray hangs out at a particular bar in Chicago. The timing felt uncanny. We talked about Bill's habit of ad-libbing his roles, and I jokingly said that if I ever pitched him my idea, I would just need to make him think it was his idea. Around this same period, I had been immersing myself in comedy. I watched a lot of videos with some of my favorites new and old. These include Troy Bond, Mitch Hedberg, Robin Williams, and Billy Crystal. I admired how Troy Bond leaned into his weaknesses and used them to disarm hecklers with undeniable stage presence. Mitch Hedberg had a gift for observing the ordinary and turning it into something brilliantly absurd. His life ended far too early, and I deeply resonated with his struggles with substance abuse. I also revisited Robin Williams' work, watching films like What About Bob, Toys, and What Dreams May Come. I was incarcerated when Robin passed away due to my own battles with addiction, and I remember feeling as though a piece of my soul had been torn away when I heard the news. His work had always felt personal to me. One of my all-time favorite films is The Princess Bride. I later learned that Billy Crystal ad-libbed for more than 30 hours while creating his character Miracle Max, pushing the limits of endurance for everyone involved. Cary Elwes was reportedly sent home because he could not keep it together from laughing. Most of the takes were ruined by laughter alone. That kind of dedication to craft felt like pure magic to me. And yes, I have been in love with Robin Wright since that movie, and probably always will be. One day at work, while helping a customer find a product, I slipped into a Robin Williams-style riff without thinking. The man stopped mid-conversation, looked at me, and said, "Wait a second, where's my wallet?" It was the highest compliment I could have received. Somewhere along the way, it felt like I had absorbed pieces of these artists, learning how to move in and out of their rhythms when I was fully present and in flow. Another day, an elderly couple came into the store. I used a bit I had been working on privately about schadenfreude, finding joy in someone else's suffering, and its opposite called mittenfreude, finding joy in someone else's joy. This is something that I took from personal experience dealing with a psychotic individual at work. They laughed so hard they told me it had been decades since they had laughed like that. Both were wearing masks, and I had a quiet sense they were cancer survivors. Little did I know that this was due to my assumption of this individual being a narcissist. They actually started to act out this behavior, and I literally just wanted to act out with violence. This type of behavior went on for months. It was a special lesson in forgiveness, learning to let go, and taking responsibility of my own unconscious beliefs. Shortly after that interaction, a couple days later, a woman appeared in the store who felt as though she had arrived with purpose. Her name was Deanna. She smiled deeply, the kind of smile that tells you someone truly sees you. She handed me her business card. She was a Taoist yoga instructor, Qigong and Tai Chi teacher, a continuing education provider, and a professional development guide with over 30 years of experience. She also worked with people nearing the end of their lives, helping them navigate that transition. She told me that when I did my first stand-up set, I was to let her know so she could attend. Not long after, I struck up a conversation with another man who shared that his uncle had written The Philadelphian, which was later adapted into the film The Young Philadelphian, starring Paul Newman. Around that same time, multiple people began telling me I resembled Paul Newman due to several similarities, including my gray hair, but because of my eye color and other features. This came directly from people who knew him on a personal level. I took it as a compliment, but more than that, I took it as another sign pointing towards something still unfolding. All of these moments felt purposeful. They arrived during a difficult transition in my life, almost as if they were there to pull me forward and remind me that I still had a great deal of life left to live. My experiences, even the painful ones, had led me to a place where transformation felt possible, and my potential no longer felt theoretical. In many ways, this all traced back to my childhood. I grew up with HBO as a babysitter, and I spent a lot of time alone in front of the television or with my grandparents because my mother had gone back to work around this time. I grew up within the soft borders of a sheltered life, a world where my imagination was my truest companion. Surrounded by the quiet kindness of simple, good people, I lived an ideal that acted as a shield, keeping the world's jagged edges at bay. They say the child who survives is the one who wins. If that is true, then keeping that inner spark alive was my first great victory. Growing up, my best friend was my grandmother Dorothy, whom everyone called Dottie, and my grandfather, a quiet man who did not speak much but radiated kindness. He was a 33rd degree Mason who traveled the world as an established, self-taught mechanical engineer. I learned early on how to live in imagination, how to observe, and how to feel deeply. Looking back, I can see it clearly now. These were not random moments. They were reminders that my imagination was never an escape. It was preparation. Just last week, I came across a video featuring Jim Rohn, someone who has inspired me deeply over the years. That led me back to learning about his connection to Tony Robbins, his best student, another teacher who has shaped my thinking throughout this journey. In the video, Jim said, "I know a guy who's just a handful of jokes away from being wealthy, but for now he's just known as a joker." Hearing that stopped me in my tracks. It felt like another unmistakable God shot, a reminder that the line between who we are and who we are meant to become is often much thinner than we realize. Sometimes it's just a matter of refinement, timing, and showing up fully. Man, the hits just keep coming. If this message resonated with you, like, share, and subscribe for more content. Here's another video for you to follow along with my journey.